Well, say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? Allow us to begin this interaction this evening of your time with the entitlement, the neighborhood. We are going to speak a little bit further on the idea of your immediate stellar neighborhood and the type of neighbors that you have, and to some degree where some of them may be found. Now, we have discussed with you many times the idea of focusing upon your planet, especially in this time of change and transition, and in no way, shape, or form do we mean by this particular entitlement tonight to remove your focus from the earth, for that is where it belongs in that sense. We do not mean to pull you away from the understanding that the quote-unquote most important job now is the familiarization with yourselves, to yourselves, the neighbors that you have all around you, the neighborhood that you as a planet are. Do not forget that. That is your primary focus, for that is where you have chosen to be born this time of your time of counting, in this transformational age, to be of assistance to your entire world. But we will discuss a little bit the idea of how it is, to some degree, that your immediate, shall we say, neighborhood of solar systems is structured. Now, in the physiological formation of any particular idea that you would call a solar system, a star, or many stars, and what you would call their attendant planetary bodies, the materials, as you say, the elements that go into making up that particular physiological system will be found within the original, shall we say, cloud of matter, cloud of elements, cloud of dust, that will then congeal, collapse to form the stars and the planets of that particular system. Different areas throughout the universe will have clouds of matter that contain many different elements, depending upon the original dispersal of those elements within the universe, and also depending upon the actions and interactions of other stellar masses that has gone on throughout what you would call eons of time within the physiological universe, sometimes collapsing into systems, sometimes, as you say, destroying themselves in what you would call nova phenomena, and giving up of their elements into the universe, only to be dispersed into other clouds and shared, gathered together once again to form other systems at some other time. All of these interactions of the comings and goings of stellar masses determines the types of elements that are available for the formation of new solar systems, and what will be possible or probable to find as the different types of physiological life that will be available to be, shall we say, expressed as consciousness in a particular system. Different areas, different pockets within the universe will be richer in certain elements than other pockets, so to speak. Now understand this. Sometimes a given area of matter, of cloud, dust formation in the universe will collapse to form many different systems. This is how large some of those dust clouds can be, those elemental clouds can be, to form many different systems that are, in your terms, light years apart. When you find in any particular area one system that has what you would call life, indigenous life upon the planet, it is as you say, likelihood, therefore, that many of the surrounding systems will also have, because usually within any one given area, all those systems have congealed out of one large mass that contains the richness of the elements necessary to provide the foundation for different physiological life forms through which consciousness can express itself. Therefore, it is one of the most solid, shall we say, clues that since you already exist upon your planet in that way, since there is life upon your world, that you can almost guarantee that there will be at least an average of one civilization for what you would call approximately every 5 to 7 light years of your counting in your radius around you. This is a typical average cross-section of how civilizations are scattered throughout galactic mass. So understand, you have quite a few neighbors. Simply because you exist in your area, in all likelihood, then you have ideas of other civilizations within a relatively near range of your solar system, simply because your systems were all congealed out of one original mass that contained the same richness of elements and could provide a basis and a foundation for many different styles of life form expression in many of those systems. The average, as we have said, will usually be one civilization every 5 to 7 light years. Now, some areas will have a denser population and some will have a sparser population. But that, as we have found, is roughly the average, at least within what you would call this galactic mass. Therefore, in addition to some of the civilizations we have discussed from time to time, we will once again delineate those systems which, within what you would call approximately a 12 light-year radius, are your closest neighbors. Star systems that have other civilizations upon the planets within those star systems. Now, we have discussed Zeta Reticulum, we have discussed Pleiades, we have discussed the idea of many other civilizations, ours included. Of course, in that sense, we are to some degree a little bit different in the sense that we occupy another dimensional plane other than the one you are in. But the idea is as follows. Your solar system is most closely bordered by what you would call the system of Alpha Centauri in your counting, and there is civilization there. Then there is Barnard's star system, and there is civilization there. Now, the last time we read this list to you, we mentioned a star that you have called Wolf 359, and we said, we'll avoid that for a moment. This time, we can tell you, there is, in a sense, life within that system, not on any planet, not like you understand life, and there is more life, other life, not indigenous to the system, observing the life that is. The life that is not in a format you are familiar with. That, and those specifics we will discuss another time. But there are 2 life forms in that system, one indigenous but nothing like you understand life to be, and one observing them, more familiar to you perhaps as a life form but not indigenous to the system. Then we will move on to the star system you have called Sirius, which we have discussed many times. Then what you would call star system Epsilon Eridani, star system Epsilon Indi, and then within that 12 light-year radius, the final star system close to you, harboring civilization, would be star system Tau Ceti. So you can see in that sense that you are surrounded by quite a few neighbors. Now, these distances from what you would call approximately 4.3 light years to approximately 11.7 light years may seem to be long distances to you. But within the idea of the next 50 years of your counting, you are, as a civilization, going to be able to understand more and more the idea of the type of electromagnetic transference that is utilized in our spacecraft that will allow you to redefine your location within the fabric of space-time, to allow yourself to dissolve yourself at one location and re-emerge at another location. This is not traveling faster than the speed of light. You are not remaining within your universal realm at all when you do this. You are, in a sense, simply redefining your existence at another place and time. When your civilization within what you call the next 50 years of your time accomplishes this idea, you will be able to be very strongly in touch with many of these other civilizations and open up broad communication with them, as well as many others that have already been interacting with your society for many years. Another we have talked about will be the civilization in the star system you have called Zeta Reticulum. This civilization is the one that is more often than not responsible for what on your world you have called the interactions abduction, which we prefer to call temporary detainments. since they are all made by agreement and they all serve a common purpose of aiding and assisting in the transformation of consciousness upon your world and the dissolving and transformation of the fear that each and every one of you have been brought up with by being in your civilization. More and more and more civilizations in that sense will be revealed unto you in that sense. More and more interactions will begin to take place in time. But remember, we now reflect this idea to you of your immediate neighborhood so that you can begin also to look at your own planet as, in a sense, a group of star systems, each and every one of you being your own stellar awareness, your own spark of infinite light. Each and every one of you then can begin to form your own coalition, your own association of solar systems by interacting in peaceful and harmonic ways, learning in that sense to express equality among yourselves and becoming your own, in effect, galaxy, galactic consciousness on your own planet, your own unified whole point of view. So that then, in becoming a whole planetary civilization, you can begin to interact with other civilizations that operate on a similar frequency, a similar wavelength. Now, this is not to say that every other civilization you will find within the galaxy is going to be operating on a planetary scale. In fact, the idea of the civilization in the Barnard star system we have discussed with you many times, you will be interacting with them as we perceive your energy in much the same way we are interacting with you now. They are, in your terminology, approximately 300 of your years in the past, technologically speaking. And as you begin to interact with them, as you achieve true space flight, then you will be their UFOs, and they can make up stories about all of you. The idea simply is now that distances are becoming much, much closer. You always have the capacity of reaching these other civilizations within the gateway of your imagination, and in your dream states, many of you have already begun to lay down the lines of communication to these other systems, to allow yourselves to understand that you can function as a network of many of these systems of your immediate neighbors, that you are all emergent from a common origin in that sense, in the sense of the material that was created, the material that was used to construct all of your solar systems, physically speaking. You all share that degree of commonality, that your physical representational cells are born out of the same stellar material, the same stellar cloud in that way, the same bubble of the galaxy. Now you can begin to reflect these ideas in your own planetary sphere by aiding and participating in every endeavor that promotes the idea of harmonics and peace upon your planet, to truly function in a way that will allow you to be one of the neighbors, one of the active, participatory neighbors in this bubble, as these distances are made smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Very soon, for 50 of your years is not a very long time at all, your entire civilization will begin to realize that you can come and go as freely between these stars as you now come and go freely between the different cities upon the surface of your world. You are truly moving, not into simply another generation, but truly into another culture on your planet. And as we have said many times, the children being born upon your world now are now being born into a conducive atmosphere that does not allow them to forget as much of who and what they are as an aspect of the infinite. Because of this conducive atmosphere, you are accelerating greatly. And many of these children will be responsible for the discoveries, technologically speaking, that will carry you to the stars in no time at all. You are truly giving birth to a different culture upon your planet. A total, shall we say, emergence of a truly more mature form of human being. Now, in this sense, we are not being derogatory and not calling you immature. But the idea is that you are still maturing, like every race matures and changes and evolves. And within the next 5 of your decades, you will be laying the seeds and the foundations and the atmospheres and the interactions to truly allow you to enter what can be called planetary adulthood. You're having a fine adolescence now. At this timing, we extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation in being willing to receive us as your neighbors, and in being willing to allow us to receive you as ours, and to interact as representatives and diplomats of each of our respective civilizations, so that through these interactions, bit by bit and day by day, we can create a more conducive atmosphere that will allow us to meet someday face to face as equals, but only when you are equals to yourselves. For only on that level do we desire to interact with you, when you, in that sense, recognize the validity and the deservability of sharing your unconditional love with each other. For then can we play together as fully mature children. We thank you for this opportunity of sharing. We thank you for allowing us to delight in the experience of your individual and collective consciousness, for you are a gift to us. And in return for the gift you are giving us now, I ask you, how may I serve you?
Hi, Bashar.
And good day to you.
My question has to deal with our natural resources and the way in which we use them. Are they in finite supply?
Yes. You know that already.
Yes. And is the way we're using them damaging our environment irreparably so?
Certain aspects may be, in your terminology, irreparable. Not all of them are. Some of them can be reversed. Some of the ones that you may now call irreparable, you can find substitutes for to some degree. But as your society now and within the next couple of your decades begins to move toward the understanding that the electromagnetic field of your planet can provide all the power you want, you will then begin to cease delving into, as we perceive your energy, the idea of the exhaustion of these natural resources, and begin to rely on an unexhaustible source of the idea of the simple infinite power of creation, of the energy out of which all matter is created, that electromagnetic field that surrounds your planet. You can tap into in many ways. Many individuals in your society have done so many times. But the information in your circles has been suppressed over and over and over again. But now many of you are beginning to understand this is possible, and there is now, shall we say, a momentum within your general public, I believe what you call a grassroots movement, to allow you to invent and reinvent and rediscover the idea of the natural electromagnetic pulsations of your planet that can be tapped and transformed into the different types of power application that you need, and serve all your needs in that way. This can be done within what you call the next 10 to 20 of your years at the outside. Each and every one of you that is interested in this idea, begin by exploring and experimenting in this way. Now, the idea is that the more of you do this, the more other individuals will catch on that they do not have to use the resources that would be exhausted in that way, nor the resources that would create what you would call the pollutive aspects of your world. Understand? It is not in that sense, therefore, in the overall scheme of things, too late. But certain attributes have been used up, exhausted, and may take quite some time before they can be, in your terms, fully repaired. The sooner you allow yourself to avail yourself of the natural energy that has always been available to you, the easier it will be upon your entire planetary system to allow those repairs to begin, what repairs can be made. And the higher your collective vibration becomes, the more you truly can literally transform your entire planet, raise and elevate its vibratory level, so that in a short amount of time, you can then, while not necessarily reclaiming the things you have exhausted, you can, in a sense, repair the damage done by taking your world into a new state, a new phase of existence, electromagnetically speaking. Understand?
Yes. Thank you.
Does this answer the question sufficiently?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I have some information that came over from Australia
All right.
about Earthlink 88.
Yes.
I wonder if you had any information on this. About the 13th of February, 1988, there's going to be an electric blue crystal transmitter cell beneath Ayers Rock in Central Australia.
Well, I have discussed the idea of that locale you call Ayers Rock as being a highly powerful magnetic vortex. And yes, in a sense, there is an ethereal interdimensional crystalline formation underneath it. That is one of the balancing centers of your planet, one that can send out electromagnetic pulses to aid and assist the idea of the balancing of your entire collective mentality. Also, the idea of what we have called the Peace Clock Project, to some degree, will synchronize with that, as 12 midday, even though only on one day of your year, has been called out by them to be the appropriate timing to synchronize your thoughts for world peace. The idea is simply representative of a group harmony, a group harmonic, a miniature mass consciousness within your entire planet that is focused in that direction, in that way. Any and all that resonate to its vibration may participate and can add their impact and momentum to your entire world's ability to create peace that much more rapidly. Understand, with that project, this project, and any projects that you care to develop on your own through your imagination to promote the idea of harmony on your world, you will accelerate that ability more and more and more and more. It is not impossible that you could accelerate the energy of harmonic peace on your planet sufficiently so that by your year 1990, you could literally declare world peace. It is possible. It seems at this time more likely that you may go through transitions through your 1990s until you allow certain events of a worldwide nature in what you would call 1997 to really, shall we say, force the issue. And from that point forward, within 3 of your years, and then up to the time frame you call 2011, 2013, those events will have driven your planet to truly begin to lay down models, ideas, foundations for the true drawing up of what you would call world charter, in that sense, where you'll begin to reroute a lot of your economic systems to focus on the idea of, shall we say, feeding your people, clothing your people, and in that sense truly focusing all the idea of your energies towards unifying your entire world. It can begin as soon as your 1990. Right now, it seems more likely that it will be kicked off more in your 1997, but that's up to each and every one of you. This event you are mentioning, and any and all events that add their assistance, add their momentum to the idea of a true desire for world peace, will determine exactly where the timing will fall and how much impact it shall have.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Shooting!
Technical problem here. Thanks.
Good day.
Hi. How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Oh, a little tired, but fine.
All right.
Okay, being in this body and in this time, I kind of have a hard time getting out of it meditation.
Yes.
Going out there, but on a day-to-day basis, I know I should be more succinct.
You are doing just fine.
Dealing with the physical life as it is now.
Yes.
Because I have a body that has a couple of minor difficulties.
Oh, all right. Such as?
Such as my skeletal structure.
Skeletal structure. All right. And?
And it, there will be pain coming from that, from these, well, actually, I don't know if it's the structure, if it's something that I'm putting on it.
It is the same thing. You are creating your own structure by the ideas, by the definitions that you create yourself to be. This is how any physiological reality is manifested. It is the composite, the combination of all the variable definitions within the equation you have written yourself to be as an energy being.
That I understand.
Yes.
Actually, surgery.
Yes.
the technological things in surgery now to rearrange physical
Yes.
structure.
It is one of the ways you can exercise your understanding of control over physical reality. It isn't the only way, but it is one way and it is valid. It depends upon your strongest belief system. If the strongest belief system and strongest definition of reality you have within you says that that's the easiest way for you to change your structure if you have a desire to do so, then by all means recognize that system in all probability will work best for you. If your mentality desires that another methodology work best, then your imagination will attract you to the circumstances that will provide you with the information you need to allow that methodology to work best for you. Always your strongest belief system will determine what methodology will work best for you, but they're all valid. Are you exploring the idea of making changes in ways that your society might find unorthodox?
Yes.
Such as?
One is deep tissue, or just changing it in my mind, seeing it changed and letting it
Yes.
change by itself.
Yes.
And, and through just realigning them, manually realigning them.
Yes.
Through the muscles.
All right.
And all of
Well, you can begin with the understanding of the following issue. Even some of your own medical practitioners are now beginning to realize the following idea. Every single thought you have literally, physically reorganizes the neurological pathways in your physical brain. Every moment of time, you do not have the same brain. Literally, physically. There are neurological pathways right now in your brain that were not there a minute ago. And some that were there a minute ago are no longer there. And I do not just mean that some of them are closing and opening, and they were there to begin with. New paths are actually created. Old paths are actually dissolved, absorbed back into the mass of the physiological brain. Some of your scientists are beginning to realize this now, that with every thought you have, you already literally change the physical structure of your brain. Now, your physical brain is responsible in that sense for, shall we say, monitoring the physiological structure of your body. The only thing that would create there to be a seeming block between your understanding that your thoughts alter physical reality would be if you have been taught to buy into a definition that says somehow the alteration of your physical structure is more difficult than simply having a new thought and allowing your physical body to take that form. This is what many of you have been taught, that physical reality is fixed, and that your thoughts are simply ethereal ideas that do not really have a great effect upon physical material. But you are beginning to realize just the opposite. In fact, you are beginning to realize that physical material absolutely has no structure without the definitions of your thoughts. So, one thing that may be able to begin to assist you is to really, as you say, get a handle on the idea that you're changing physically every moment anyway. Literally, physically, every single moment. Once you can allow that to inspire you, perhaps you can then redirect the idea of that physical change exactly where you want it to be. But do understand this. It isn't always just a matter of having the thought and, quote-unquote, just letting your body change. Many times, if you simply have the imagination, have the picture of the way you desire your body to be, you see it in the way you want it to be. Many times, because you are so immersed in physical reality and the habitual rituals that have gone with it, many times what it will take to truly initiate, shall we say, ignite that vision to allow your body to change most easily will be to act in ways that are representative of the change, to allow a physical action to lock into your body habit, your body pattern, the idea that you are, in fact, more truly the vision you desire to be than the physical reality vision you have been that you no longer prefer. So many times, opportunities will come into your life that will give you a chance to act as if, to act in the direction of the change, to exhibit a trait that is representative of the change you say you prefer. To the best of your ability, when those opportunities happen, act in that direction as if you were already changed. And that is what starts retraining, reprogramming your body consciousness to begin to take its cues from a mind that thinks of itself as whole, rather than a mind that has been trained in habitual rituals to think of itself as somehow unstructured or unaligned. You are retraining yourself in that way. Is this sinking in at all? Is this helping you?
Yes, very much.
So use that imagination to really see the you prefer to be. Allow circumstances to be attracted into your physical life by that particular beacon you will set up in your imagination. And whatever the opportunities are that come with excitement that your imagination has drawn, act on them physically to the best of your ability, and you will step by step retrain your body to align to a new idea, a new definition, a new template of yourself, the template you really prefer to be. So have a clear vision of what you really want. Know that that is you. It is you. And then allow yourself to blend into it by starting to act like the you see in your mind's eye.
If there are things that I know are stopping that, should I just avoid them?
No. If you believe there are things in your terminology that stop you from doing that, then dive into them. Find out what beliefs you would have to contain in order to attract those things that would seem to stop you. For there are no real blocks. What you call in your society blocks are actually packets of information about yourself that you need to discover, that you need to explore and open up. And then, in discovering those things, to integrate that knowledge and that idea within you, to absorb it, to become more than you are now, in a sense. So if you feel that there is something stopping you, then examine the fear, examine the so-called block. Find out what kind of definitions you would have to contain in order to attract into your life ideas that would seem to stop you. That's what they're there to show you. They are mirrors. Mirrors of the ideas you believe yourself to be most strongly. Understand?
Yes.
Does this assist you?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Now,
much.
may I ask you a question?
Why, of course.
Oh, thank you. Do you feel, when you talk about this idea, a strong burning excitement in the pit of your solar plexus?
Somewhere between my solar plexus and my heart.
All right, close enough. Allow yourself to feel that sensation as often as you can. In other words, get excited about the idea of the changes you say you prefer to make. Feel it on your physical being, in your physical body. Feel that rush of energy. Let it spread throughout your entire body. What you call, on your planet, the goosebump effect. Let it spread through your entire body. Become inspired. Become excited. When you allow that energy to spread, you are literally changing the cellular structure of your body throughout, from within. You are elevating your energy, accelerating your energy upwards. That's what that sensation is. You're taking yourself to another level. You're operating on higher energy. So when you see things you desire, let yourself get inspired. Let yourself get excited. Feel that in your solar plexus, the chakra of intention. Feel it. Feel the conviction. Let it spread. And then know that when you feel that energy, when you feel that sensation, you are not at the same energy level you used to be. You have completely changed yourself. You are a completely different person operating on a completely different level who now has more access to more energy to create more change. Understand?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sharing. By the way, these ideas are not simply philosophical issues. We are talking physics, we are talking mechanics, we are talking the allowance of physiological change as you understand it. Sharing.
Hi, hello Bashar.
Ah, good day to you.
Good day to you too.
Speak up so that all may share.
My name is Rebecca.
All right, if you say so.
Yes. Or at least at this time.
Yes.
I had a series of events that I think are somehow all linked up.
All right.
And I'd like to
describe the synchronicity to all of us.
Okay. Just before the conversions,
Yes.
I moved into a new apartment.
All right.
And as I, at nighttime, just around dusk until just before the sun would rise, I would look out, and up along the side of the hill, there was like a triangular shape. And it had 3 lights in each corner, and it was like just white, pure light.
Yes.
And I would see this no matter what time of night, whether it was 3 o'clock in the morning or 5, it would always be in the same position.
Yes.
During the day, there was nothing there. There was no structure. There was no way for any reflection.
Understood.
Okay? I had a sense that maybe it was some craft or something like that.
Continue.
Okay. After the conversions, I started to, which I went to Chichen Itza for.
All right.
And was on the pyramid. And I started having a lot of different experiences opening up to me, and a lot of acceleration of my energy.
Yes.
In November, just before November, I was doing a meditation where I saw myself in the universe.
Yes.
In the universe, and all of a sudden I was with a group of other light beings, light beings.
Yes.
It's like they were at this huge table, or like a galactic table or something
yes.
like that. And I came to them, and there was a lot of love, a lot of beautiful energy, and welcoming. It was like,
yes.
welcome home. We're glad you're here. And then I was taken over to a seat where I sat there, and they individually came over and gave and said hello or exchanged energy. It was like a welcoming.
Yes.
Then,
and an identification of energy.
Yes. Then, just in November, I went to a medicine wheel gathering with the Native American Indians out in Malibu. And just before that experience, I saw myself again at this galactic type table where I was in my
association convergence, yes.
Okay. And then what happened was I saw myself like a light go from that image, or an energy, go all the way down into the center of the earth.
Yes.
And it was like just this huge stream of energy from there.
And how did you feel?
I felt great.
Specifically?
Well, I felt that...
Did you feel like the earth? Could you identify more strongly with it?
Yes.
All right, continue.
And I also felt that it was some form of healing.
Yes.
That I'm here to do as well. But
as all of you are, yes.
Right, correct. But there was some other link still to this other connection outside of it.
All right. What do you want to do with all of these energies and realizations? How will you now act? Will you act differently now, after these realizations and connections, than you did before? And if so, how?
Well, I think that I'm acting... Yes, I am acting different.
All right, and?
And I'm acting more in a state of truth and centeredness.
All right. Do understand that all that you are experiencing to some degree is a telepathic contact that is becoming more and more and more solid to many of you, because you are beginning to realize that physical reality, in a sense, is only the combined product of your collective imagination anyway. So our telepathic contacts with each and every one of you can begin to take on more and more what you would call real qualities. And you are seeing into different dimensions of reality. The idea of the trinary formation is not something that really existed in your dimensional reality as a physiological object, but it was representative of a gate, shall we say, of a relationship, shall we say, rather than a spaceship, a relationship in that sense, that you were interpreting in energy for, were being shown as a mirror to activate certain ideas within you, to allow you to release yourself, to form that identification telepathically, astrally, as you say, with the association energy, so that you could then identify strongly yourself as representative of Earth and representative with Earth, to identify with the very heart of the crystal of your planet, to accelerate your ability to be of assistance at this time. It is like checking in and saying, all right, here is the job I have chosen to do as a part of the council, as a part of the association. This is who I am, you are saying. This is my energy. This is how I want to be of assistance. I am checking in, shall we say, accelerating my energy forming an alignment and taking that alignment back with me, you are saying, to the place where I have chosen to be of assistance, and accelerate that assistance now. You are simply recognizing agreements you have set up from a long time ago. You are recognizing your timing now unfolding and taking you to a new level. You have accelerated yourself, in that sense, uplifted yourself to another notch, shall we say. And on that level, you can simply have conscious awareness of the fact that you are telepathically linked to many beings, as all of you are. It is simply that most of you don't know that because most of you have been operating on an unconscious level, walking in your sleep, so to speak. Now you are waking up, as many individuals on your planet are waking up, and you realize there are many more conversations going on than you thought. Are you having a good time?
Yes.
Does this sufficiently answer your question?
Yes, but it brought up one other question.
No, all right.
Okay. I was told recently that that all this process that I was going through was because of an agreement that I made.
Yes, as we have said, you are remembering your agreements.
Right, and I was also told that I made another agreement that during the time period of the 25th to the 1st of this month, that I would be asked again whether or not I would know what my specific additional purpose was, and that I would be asked again whether or not I wanted to make that agreement.
All right, and so?
So I guess I'm asking for confirmation in regards to that information.
There is no confirmation I can give you.
Okay.
Allow yourself simply to understand there are many other things that will unfold within your consciousness. Yes, there are many other ideas or levels to the overall agreement, and there will be many more for you to discover as you unfold. Not just one specific one, but the more you accelerate, the faster you accelerate, the faster those recognitions and remembrances will come. Understand?
Yes.
Now remember, once again, these specific purposes, these specific missions in life are not the purpose of your life. They are the methods by which you can express the purpose of your life, which is the same for all of you, to be the fullest possible being you can be. That's the purpose of your life. Any way you choose to go about it, those are the methods through which you express the purpose of your life, the mission of your life. You understand? Mm-hmm. So your unfoldment will take place in perfect timing. Live spontaneously, live in the moment. It will all be revealed in perfect timing. You will not miss anything. You can't miss anything.
Right.
Relax. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I don't have any difficulty finding things to get excited about.
Oh, thank you very much. Neither do I.
But I do, occasionally I get too many irons in the fire.
Oh.
And kind of tend to lose sight of the ones that I really get excited about, and sometimes get my attention split up in too many ways. And
all right. Now, it may simply be a matter of having bought into the idea that in knowing the direction that really excites you, that you have to pay attention to all the details and make sure they're all going to fit in order to get the thing that really excites you. Instead of relaxing into the knowledge that when you focus on your strongest intention, everything else that is less exciting than that, maybe still exciting, but less exciting than that, is going to be now represented as one of the details that falls into place that backs, or shall we say, reinforces the most exciting thing in your life. And therefore, you don't really have to watch all the details as closely as you have been. You don't necessarily have to walk down every corridor thinking that if you don't watch every single step of every single corridor, that you will somehow not allow them to come together in perfect alignment to reinforce the thing that really does excite you the most. Is this making some sense?
Definitely.
The idea simply is that many of you can find yourself juggling many different things and not having enough hands to do it because you think that you have to pay attention to all the details and you have to control all the details and make sure that all the details are doing exactly so and such at exactly this and that time, or everything else will fall apart. Instead of realizing that if you simply aim for the strongest intention, all the details fall into place automatically, fall into line automatically, reinforce each other perfectly, and all create with them the appropriate amount of time and timing to be dealt with by you. and can be touched lightly in that sense and effortlessly in that sense, and will contain all the momentum necessary to support the things that are really the strongest intentions and the strongest levels of excitement in your life. You don't have to watch all the methodologies. Understand?
I got it.
So consolidate in that sense into your definition of what it is that really is the most exciting thing out of all of these. Let the others then become the details that support it. And act at any given moment upon that which you really can act upon that is the most exciting thing. Everything else will fall into place. Sometimes you create these other avenues thinking that you actually even need them to support the thing that excites you the most, and you don't. At least not necessarily in that way.
Yes.
Does this assist you?
Takes a lot of pressure off.
Oh, thank you very much. When you take the pressure off, you expand naturally.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I'm not quite sure my question is, but
Oh, that's all right.
Good. First of all, is there a difference between telepathy and channeling?
Depends. What you call telepathy, what we have coined as telepathy, is basically the idea of forming a strong identification, let's say for now in this example, between two individuals. It is not the direct reading of another's mind, as many of you mythologically think. The idea simply is that when you form a strong identification with someone, you begin to match their frequency, because everything is frequency. Everything is a vibration of the primal energy. Different frequencies of the same energy. When you begin to identify strongly with another individual, you begin to vibrate at their frequency. When you vibrate at their frequency, you manifest the same type of thought patterns through your consciousness that they manifest through theirs. And when you do it strongly enough, you manifest these thought patterns at the same time in the same way, and that makes it seem as if you are reading each other's thoughts. What you're actually doing is being perfectly reflective mirrors of each other in slightly different, very similar ways. You have the same thoughts at the same time. Now, channeling to some degree is much the same idea. In that you form a strong universe, you create a model of that which you identify with. And so seem to be channeling something else, when, in a sense, what you are doing is forming an identification with something else and channeling your own energy as a mirror image of that idea you are identifying with. So in a sense, the mechanism is very similar. It just depends on whom or what you are identifying with that determines what comes through and in what way it comes through. The idea, therefore, is why we always say that channeling, fundamentally, is simply doing anything you really love to do and letting it through in a creatively expressed way without doubt, without worry. Because the idea is that the strongest vibration of identification is love. That's why individuals that you say are in love very often are the ones that more often than not exhibit the idea of reading each other's thoughts, knowing what another individual is going to say before they say it. Because they are thinking the same thing at the same time, because they're on the same frequency, on the same wavelength. So they're creating the same patterns. That's telepathy, that's channeling, that's psychic functioning. It's all of those things in slightly different manifestational methods of expression. You follow me?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Does that clarify the issue to some degree?
Yes, it does. So,
well, thank you.
Okay, I had one other thing that went along with it.
Oh, all right.
Which was, I had a dream the other night, and I had written a book, and the thing that was most exciting to me about it was the idea that I could have actually gotten this story from a dolphin.
Oh, yes.
Story.
You interact, many of you, many of you now interact with dolphin consciousness, since they are the other, shall we say, sentient species upon your planet, the other alien life form, aside from humans. And they are blending with you because they are highly telepathic. And they share many of your dream states with you, and you go on many adventures in your dreams with them. You are one society, and in a sense, one race in your dreams. It is simply that in physical terminology, you have two different types of body expression.
Yes, but is it possible to actually understand telepathically a dolphin?
Oh, absolutely.
Telepathic with us?
Because the idea then is that there are no language barriers in that sense. No real differences because you are the same type of soul. Absolutely. And many of you do all the time. And have conversations all the time. So if you find yourself inspired by that energy now, realize many of them are interacting with all of you. Let the inspiration through in any way that serves all concerned in a joyous way.
Okay.
And if you wish, you can even physicalize the idea by going down to your oceans and walking into their environment and accepting their invitation to go and play physically. Because that is what they desire now from many of you, to equalize your societies. For even though we have described once again beforehand the idea of the neighborhood of all the different, you would call alien civilizations in the stars around you, the closest alien civilization to you is on your very own planet, the dolphins and the whales. You are a planet with two different alien species, right together on one world. Understand?
Yes.
This happens from time to time, and you have created it on your planet as well. It is not that uncommon that there is more than one species on any given planet. So, go and play if you wish.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you very much. Sharing!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm excited. This Monday, Henry and I are going to be going to Zion,
All right.
then Wyoming, and on the way back through Sedona.
All right.
And I'm also anxious because I
Anxious?
have an opportunity to move to Wyoming if I choose.
Yes. And so?
I wanted to ask you, since you know the agreement that Henry and I since you...
There may be aspects of the idea of the agreements you have made that we can perceive,
Right.
but it is not up to us to absolutely unfold all those agreements in front of your face for you.
Though.
Yes.
And from the energy that you pick up in my being,
Yes.
do you see Wyoming as a positive place for our interacting together?
It can be one of the places. We see that there are a few others that may be equal in scope. However, are you are you in any way, shape, or form under any amount of pressure to make a decision?
I've chosen to be to feel myself under pressure.
Why? What's the rush?
Well, I feel like it's time for me to make a career shift or go back into being a fashion designer.
All right.
And it doesn't really excite me, and yet at the same time,
Yes.
I feel like I'm in a limbo state to a sense.
All right. Then give yourself a little time to see, in that sense, what becomes most obvious to you. You're not under any rush in that sense. Mm-hmm. The anxiety is only the doubt. So take the time in the limbo state to explore the doubt. Find out what definitions you have that are creating the doubt. Transform the anxiety back into excitement. When it transforms back into excitement, there will be no doubt, and the decision will be obvious.
So it's all in the timing.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
If you find that you are having anxiety, then obviously there may be a few other things you need to look at. Take the time to look at them. Transform them back into excitement. And then it will be obvious which way to move.
Do you see our stopping through Zion or Sedona as being a powerful place for us at this time?
Now, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
If I said no, would you believe me?
No, because I'd still go.
Thank you. Then why ask?
Okay.
You already, in other words, know what you're going to do. You know, in that sense, what the strongest inclination is within you. So why ask?
Okay.
You are self-empowered.
Yes.
You know what you want to do. Do it.
I have one last question.
All right.
2 weeks ago, Henry was in Wyoming and I was in Los Angeles, and it was a Saturday night. We both woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, very suddenly,
Yes.
jarringly awake,
Yes.
and something very powerful seemed to go on, and the next thing we knew, it was 7 in the morning. And even though we were in different states, that day he flew to Los Angeles, and we shared that we seemed to feel we were transported elsewhere.
Well, in a sense, yes. What you actually did was create a tunnel between you. And in that tunnel, your time sense was shifted drastically. You had created, to some degree, what can be called a temporal vortex. And you moved yourself through that tunnel, let's say, jumped through that tunnel in time. Understand?
Yes. What was the purpose of this? To connect?
To connect, but that's not all.
Would you care to share any more?
No.
Thank you very much.
Just understand that you now have this type of, shall we say, vacuum conduit between you. You have established an equilibrium of electromagnetic energy in a particular way between you. You have flipped your switches on. When you pass through the electromagnetic fields of Zion and Sedona, there may be some interesting polarizations of that field that will accelerate you greatly. You are now, in a sense, a live wire. And you are now, in a sense, passing through an electric field. That is going to create a particular type of magnetic momentum that will now allow you to begin to really, let's say, slip and become very loosely attached to the notion of space-time in your physical reality. Understand?
Yes, I do.
I am being, in your terminology, cautious about what I am saying, in the sense that I do not want to create too much anticipation of particulars, and at the same time I want you to understand that you know what you're doing, even though it is not all on a conscious level right now. You are going to be going on a little bit of a wild ride, but ride with the wave. It'll be all right. This is your true opportunity to really express the idea of true magnetic awareness and trust. There will be some very strong increase in dream communication for you from various, shall we say, sources. Now that your switch is open, you will be receiving many things. Allow them to fall into place in the appropriate pattern, in the appropriate timing, as you simply move through the field according to your imagination, your excitement, and your conviction. You will sweep up all the information you need until you truly take yourself to a new cycle. I cannot speak about that now.
You've shared a lot. Thank you very much.
We thank you and have a wonderful time discovering all the surprises.
Thank you, Bashar. I love you.
Our love to you as well. Shedding.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day to you.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
I'm very good.
Oh, thank you. For those that are, in your terms, new, the terminology of saying we are perfect does not mean we do not change or grow or learn. It simply means that we recognize that at any given moment, any particular being is an absolutely perfect version of whatever it's being at that moment. And that you don't, in a sense, truly become more perfect. You just become perfect in a different way. Continue.
I'm more perfect in a different way.
Thank you.
I'm real excited about a project I'm working on.
Oh, all right. Do share with all. Excitement, and projects.
It's
Speak up and be bold.
An interstellar guidebook.
Interstellar guidebook. All right.
Yeah, and I'm assuming because I'm excited about it that the timing is right.
No, all right.
And it would be basically...
The timing is correct for whatever information you will be able to receive to put it together.
Yeah.
Do not forget, one of the primary focuses is upon your own planet as well.
Right.
Don't forget to include yourself on the map.
Yes.
Continue.
I was just wondering if you had any suggestions. I mean, I'm happy enough to just follow my excitement.
All right. Well, we to some degree have given you a little bit of a list this evening of your time of some of the individuals that would be in that guidebook.
Right. Could you give a description of, say, Epsilon Indi and the other?
Not at this time. In your near future, yes, not at this time. And it will be given by another, not me.
I don't suppose you'd give me any information about the other.
The other will be referred to as simply the galactic. It will not be a physical being as you know it.
Okay.
It will come through this channel, but it will not be me.
Okay. Okay. And I had the past week and a half or so, I felt as though I woke up one morning and I felt as though another, excuse me, aspect of myself had come into myself.
All right. That you have expanded the idea and the definition that you are and accelerated yourself into a new persona.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I walked down the street and I was very surprised that there was only one sun as opposed to two.
I understand the feeling sometimes.
And since then, I have felt that there has been communication from...
Stop. Our suggestion to you for now will be to go scouting through your star charts, if you have not already done so, with the idea in mind of what you call your galactic guidebook, and see what ideas of stellar systems really attract you. Maybe as a hint, the red and the blue. We shall see.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much. Pleasant dreams. Shooting.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
For recent years, I've been having the most vivid dreams.
Yes.
And just recently, I sort of get part one and part two. And they sort of tell stories. And
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what I'm meant to do with them. I mean, they're very vivid.
Well, are they enjoyable?
They're very enjoyable.
Do you feel like writing them down?
I asked the question in the dream, should I get up and write this down or will I remember?
Yes.
And usually I will remember.
And?
So the next day I do sometimes write them down.
All right. Do you feel like sharing those stories with other individuals in that written format?
Not really, no.
All right. What would it excite you to do with the information in the stories then?
Well, I don't really know. I just write them down. Maybe they're going to have some interests for me in years to come. I don't quite know what I'm meant to do with them.
Oh, all right.
Sort of information that it is information.
All right. May I ask you, what does excite you then?
It excites me that I have these dreams. I love them.
Yes.
I mean, I almost prefer them to the day.
Ah, then that's one very strong clue for you. And the clue is to allow yourself to begin to transform your physical reality, what you call the day, into more of an understanding that you are dreaming right now. Very vivid, is it not?
Yes.
This is a dream. Your physical reality is a dream. Literally, a dream. A particular type of dream with a definition of solidity and focus in a very particular way. It is a dream nonetheless, and not really much different than the other dreams that you have. One of the things you can do is to allow that information to allow you to begin to create less of a distinction between your physical reality and what you call your non-physical dream state. One moment. You have been many times in other lives very instrumental in the aiding and assisting of the blending of transformation from physical reality to non-physical reality. You have helped many individuals through the death process many times. You are, in that sense, literally a dream keeper. In that sense, you have acted in many lives as the idea of facilitators from one dimension to another dimension. And you have done this from both sides. Aiding individuals who are physically dying into the non-physical, aiding individuals in the non-physical who have just died to acclimate them in that way. You are, in that sense, a dream weaver, a dream keeper, a dream spinner in that sense. You have a very strong notion of the idea of the blending of the physical and the non-physical. You can use this in many different ways. It is really up to you in terms of discovering how it is you really wish to use this idea. You have used it in many ways. You can use it in many ways again. You can tell stories. You can, in that sense, amuse the children. You can, in that sense, allow your dreams to aid individuals that are making transitions from physicality to non-physicality. You can, in a sense, by sharing those stories, allow individuals to change their lives drastically by hearing the ideas presented in the dreams. You can even aid and assist other individuals to allow themselves to experience dreams in that vivid manner that you do. You can and have been many times what you would call a healer in that sense. Very strong at working with color. You have worked with the idea of crystals many times, but I would remind each and every one of you once again that of course all these ideas you call crystals, even though they have power and can funnel power through them, are simply catalysts and triggers for your own power. They are mirrors of who and what you are. You have been very powerful in many different lives in that way. 'Tis up to you. 'Tis up to you as to how to express these stories. You have also, in many different lives, experienced the idea of shamanism, especially in what you call your Native American culture, where the telling of stories was the way of preserving the heritage of what you would call the history of the people on your planet. You have been a storyteller for quite some time. There have been times when you have been wandering minstrel, going from town to town, as you say, telling of the stories and bringing of the news in that sense. You're very familiar with the weaving of tales. And now and then in some of the lives you have woven tales to your own ends that were not necessarily, in your terms, as true as they could have been. You have used this idea in many different ways, in many different capacities, at many different times. It is completely up to you. Now, in whatever way really gives you the most joy, now it is really up to you as to what to do with those tales. Perhaps the idea of the review we have shared with you from our perception of your energy has perhaps sparked some inspiration within you and can perhaps move you in a particular direction, but that's up to you. You are the captain of your ship, and you have been at the tiller many times. You have many tales of far distant lands, and you are still visiting them, even though your hand may now be at a tiller of a different sort, on a ship of a different sort, sailing a different sort of dream sea. Is any of this being of assistance to you?
Wonderfully.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
May your sails always be full of wind. Sharing!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. It's absolutely thrilling to be here with you, and I just want to thank you for being available.
We thank you and are always overjoyed to share with each and every one of you.
I've been so delighted with the interaction that I have with you, and in most of the cases, my interactions with you are not here as a physical channel.
We understand there is energy always from our collective associations, civilizations being beamed to your planet for your imagination to tap into in whatever way, shape, or form you wish to. Have you been happy about the interaction with yourself?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very. I wanted to ask you, how does that work? What creates that spontaneity?
We have talked about the idea already of telepathic linkages, of forming an identification, of becoming a particular frequency that, by definition, will automatically put you on the same level as something with a similar frequency, so you can spontaneously interact. That is why most of the idea of telepathy and psychic functioning happens only spontaneously and not on command. Because the idea is that you are always switching your channels around. You're always scanning for different ideas that relate to you at any different moment. You are always having a different degree of intensity of focus on different subjects at any particular time. So you will simply spontaneously key into what you really need to that represents the vibrational frequency you're on at any given moment. It is not something that you necessarily want to regulate that heavily, because that would remove the spontaneity and in a sense remove the basic structure or methodology for the living of life in its full emotional awareness. You understand?
I think so. It's the excitement that's created in that interchange.
Yes.
Is the structure?
The excitement is representative of the vibrational energy of the structure. Yes, of the level you are on.
Okay. I also have another question. You do all of this so spontaneously.
Well, thank you.
How is it that you arrive here every Thursday night at 8 o'clock?
It is not in your terminology, quote unquote, Thursday night at 8 o'clock to me. The idea of what time is for us is not exactly the same as it is for you. Simply, we also function so spontaneously in synchronicity that no matter when, in your terms, the session needs to take place, I am always available at exactly the same timing, no matter what the time is for me in that sense. And we do not really keep track of time. And also, sometimes, these interactions do not happen in your terms at the same time. Sometimes, to put this very colloquially, this interaction can be happening, shall we say, last week for me. I simply will project myself to whatever area of time I know the interaction needs to take place for you. Understand? So we are always slipping around. Always slipping through time in that sense. Do understand. We have made a foundational agreement with the channel to be always linked and connected to the intentions of the flow that is going on your planet. So when we simply feel the flow, we will always respond in that sense. It may not, in your terminology, be at the same time in a parallel notion.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked you that is to get an idea of how you do that, because I always seem to be out of sync in a lot of ways with what I do. So what I need to do, from what I'm hearing you, is to be more open to my own flow of energy.
Well, in a sense, remember this, you are never, any of you, really out of sync.
Right.
You are always perfectly in synchronous harmony with the strongest definitions of reality you buy into. Understand?
Yes.
So as you change the definitions of what your reality is and what it's capable of being, you then synchronize with that and begin to have the experiences that go hand in hand with the nature of your new definition. Our civilization simply has an extremely, shall we say, loose definition of time and space. Therefore, we can slip here and there, in and out. You see, we know that physiological reality is within our imagination. And yet at the same time we know that our imagination is real. So in a sense it could be said that I am imagining that I am having this conversation with you, but I know my imagination is real, so I also know this conversation is going on. Understand?
Yes. Yes.
Is this making any sense?
It does.
Do understand that actually many of you do this with yourselves all the time. Sometimes the quote-unquote voices you hear within your mentality is actually your own future self whispering back to you.
Okay, what I'm doing that I prefer not to keep creating is that I keep committing myself to things that when the moment occurs, like if I commit myself to be here next Thursday at 8 o'clock,
yes,
then I'm finding that when that time arrives, I would rather spontaneously be doing something else.
What is your definition of commitment?
It's an agreement that's co-created with a structure of time, space.
Why does it have to contain a structure of time and space?
Well,
an agreement can be an agreement without it. How about an agreement with an understanding of the appropriate timing rather than time?
I'm not sure I could get away with that. It seems that
it is not something to get away with.
Oh.
It is an expression of the trust that if you know that you are acting to the best of your ability with the fullest integrity you can muster, and that what you are doing is not the result of running away from something you're not willing to face, then you can also trust that everything will fall into place in perfect timing. And that when you really need to be somewhere, you will be. And when you don't, you won't. And that the agreement you have made, as long as you are open in your communication, keeping the lines open in that sense and being the most honest you can be with your integrity with all other individuals involved with whom you have made the agreement, you can then begin to see that all the events will fall into a synchronous alignment, and that when, in keeping with your integrity, something simply does not work out according to the time frame, it also will be exactly what everyone else in that agreement needs to experience, and it will work out perfectly in timing rather than time. Understand?
Yes, I do.
Timing is simply representative of the definition of the event, no matter when in time that happens.
Okay.
Is this a little clearer?
It's extremely clearer. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the timely conversation. this timing, you may all enjoy a brief break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 of your minutes of counting. How's everything going? A little say, continue.
Good evening, Bashar.
And you good day.
I'd like to thank you for the sharing you did with Judy concerning that conduit that she and I built.
We thank you for creating it so that we could share it.
Thank you. And the question I have in the sharing is one that's going to be...
One moment. Each and every one of you, remember that everything you hear this evening of your time applies to you as well, or you wouldn't be hearing it. Apply it in whatever way it works best for you in your imagination. There will be relative degrees of applicability and different ways of applicability, but there are no accidents. And remember, you are all one single event. And in a sense, you are all one single being talking to itself through many mouths. Continue.
This is an opportunity for everyone to take a look at where they stand in the idea of judgment.
Judgment. Invalidational judgment, not the judgment of discernment.
Right.
We are talking about the idea of invalidational judgment. Continue.
Okay. I seem to have co-created a situation in my life through my interactions with an individual that I chose to take into my home and my place of business.
All right.
Who was in a great need, and I felt that it could be a mutual learning experience, which
it is.
You bet.
All right. Can you simply, in general terms, now define the nature of the interaction, as we are assuming you are saying that it does not match what you would prefer it to?
Right. Okay.
Define the nature.
The situation that was created was one where I felt abused, slapped in the face, and...
We're not talking about describing the personal interpretation. Describe the situation physically. What is the idea? What is the idea that was put out? What do you believe is the idea that has not been met in that sense? Not the idea of the personal reactions for the moment. Simply describe the nature of the situation.
Okay.
The circumstances. What are the circumstances, and what do you desire to change in the circumstances?
Well,
is it simply the idea of the emotional interaction?
The intensity of it, when I perceive that I am at one place, and I react in a way that I actually didn't imagine that I could ever react.
All right. But now you know you can.
I know.
So are you telling me that what you have discovered in this interaction is that you still have buttons that can be pushed?
You bet. Yes.
All right. Well, now that you have discovered those buttons, do you desire to have them pushed?
No.
All right. Then now you can realize where those buttons are. You can redefine what is written on top of them. And now you do not have to find yourself reacting in the same way. Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
All right. So you have learned that. That's one thing.
Okay.
What else?
Well, to experience something on an emotional level and a mental level, and then for me to then turn that into a physical symbol for the other person, okay, in a reaction, to me is, I mean, we're a synthetic being, and
that does not mean you're not natural. Just because your persona is a creation doesn't mean you're not natural, though. Do not take the meaning that we have used synthetic in that sense.
Oh, no, I mean synthesized.
Yes.
Okay, integrated, blended, fused.
All right.
That's what I meant. Okay. That in the moment when I reacted physically, I actually was at least as shocked as the individual.
All right.
With.
All right.
But
has it helped you to realign the definition of your integrity?
yes.
Do you wish to function that way again?
No.
Then don't.
But I hadn't wished to function that way then.
All right. But the idea is simply now that obviously something has been brought to your conscious attention that you were relegating to your unconscious attention. Now that it is conscious, now you can decide, consciously decide, why you used to react that way and why you now no longer prefer to react that way, and that will make a difference now that it has been brought out in the open. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you have said it was a surprise. Well, now that you have discovered it, apply it in whatever way represents the integrity you say you desire to have. Understand?
Yes.
And proceed from there. This is not an issue of the idea of guilt in that sense, or regret in that sense. It is the idea of now what do you do with the information you have discovered? Do you, in that sense, sit around and berate yourself and other individuals adding to the negativity? Or do you apply it in a positive way? Now that you have discovered you had created yourself by that definition.
Well, I know that there's a positive way to...
All right.
For this to...
Now understand, remember, that at any given moment, you are a different being. So perhaps there have been, in your terms, times when you did not contain that particular idea. But then having attracted a certain situation to yourself, you simply chose to be the being that did. Doesn't mean that you're that being now. But now you can examine why you chose to be that being that reacted in that way in that given situation. So you can determine whether or not you will ever choose to be that being again, consciously. Understand?
Yes.
You can begin, in your terms, to soothe and smooth the whole idea out by, first of all, acknowledging, A, that again, this was a co-creation, that you have attracted an opportunity to see this aspect of yourself that you were willing to exemplify, that you were willing to personify, in that sense, to give you an opportunity to decide whether you wanted to personify that particular aspect of the total being you are anymore. So in that sense, you can thank the other being for providing that opportunity, and you can get on with the business of expressing integrity as you choose to, and move, in your terms, forward in a positive way. There is no need for the idea of grudge.
Mm-hmm. So any interaction, even that type, is always co-created equally between individuals?
Well, of course. How can it be otherwise?
Well, that's my feeling. That's an issue that we've discussed. Not you and I, he and I.
All right. It does not necessarily mean that you each have the same things to look at. Mm-hmm. But it's always got to be a co-creation. It cannot be otherwise. It cannot be otherwise. There may be different meanings in it for both of you, different reasons for why it was created, different things you have to look at, different approaches you can take, different resolutions, but it's still a co-creation for your own reasons, even if your reasons aren't the same. Even if what you're going to get out of it isn't the same, still co-created. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Is this of assistance?
Yes.
Is it sufficient? Maybe.
Well, it's sufficient. I know I've been just
yes.
to the idea of integrity, and all of a sudden I do something like, I participate in this idea, and I just...
All right. But again, do not use it as a self-judgment. Remember this. All of you have existed in a civilization that has fragmented and fractionated you more than you can even imagine sometimes. Sometimes you have created yourself to be so many pieces and so many compartments that you really simply have that many compartments to discover about yourself. Well, you are discovering some. So apply it in a positive way. You don't have to sit around in a daze just because it was unexpected.
Okay.
Tis up to you. All right?
All right.
Yes, is
there something that you could share with both of us, because I'm going to share this tape with him.
Some of it, to some degree, is a remnant of an old business association. To some degree, there was a grudge. to some degree, some of that steam is being released now in certain ways. There have also been from time to time familial connections that in that lifetime were not worked out to either of your satisfaction.
And this is?
You're now getting an opportunity to allow those things to work themselves through.
Okay.
There is no need to have a lover's quarrel. Be it that even though in this lifetime you are, as you say, male and male, there have been other lifetimes when that was not so.
Okay. It's clear enough. Thank you.
One moment. We would suggest that you pick what you might call neutral territory for the discussion. That you both define as neutral territory. All right?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shooting.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you.
Good day to you. I just would like to share a couple of things. I've
All right, go right ahead.
enjoyed the experience of listening to you for the past year or so.
We have enjoyed the experience of listening to you all as well. It has been an experience.
I really enjoy your sense of humor, and I feel that's really what life is all about, is to enjoy it. And I'm finding myself just experiencing the reality of creating one's own attitude. I find that I'm more and more able to label experiences as anything I choose to label them.
Well, thank you. And also perhaps simultaneously finding that you do not have to label as many things at all.
Yeah. I just tend to enjoy things, kind of go along with.
Oh, me too.
And it's kind of fun. There's an exciting.
Kind of fun.
Well, I mean, I can also label things as with conditions as well.
Nice.
Exciting thing going on.
All right.
Is that I and a friend are buying a house. And,
all right.
I'm kind of interested in that, and things seem to be developing. I have had absolutely no, what's the word?
Plan.
Well, yeah, no anxiety about it.
Oh, all right.
It's like I was just totally able to have whatever came down. It was like,
oh, very good.
If it's supposed to happen, it's fine. I'm excited about it.
Thank you.
I can make
Sometimes it is the plans that create the anxiety. Because then the plans are not met, and oh no, everything's falling apart.
Yeah, I'm finding this is enjoyable because buying a house is supposed to be one of the most stressful things in the world, right?
Yeah, it says so right there.
And it's interesting, I'm creating a lot less stress with it than I create in other areas of my life where I define a lot of this must happen or else I will be upset kind of.
Well, thank you.
And
thank you.
So I just wanted to share that with you, and I'm curious if you could perceive any energy regarding to my relationship with the person I'm buying the house with. And,
there is nothing we can comment on at this time except that we will, as always, send you energy that can be put toward your house warming.
Well, thank you, Bashar.
Well, thank you very much.
I do appreciate it. Good day.
Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I find myself interested in many things of the new
Many, yes.
The crystals, channeling, Sedona, a million different things.
Million different things, yes.
But I don't seem to focus in on any particular thing.
No, all right. Some of you are learning to be generalists now rather than specialists. And that in and of itself can be one thing, in a sense. Depends upon how you approach it, how you look at it, and to what purposes, quote unquote, you apply it. It's up to you. Are you having a good time?
Well, I'm having a good time, but it doesn't
Yes.
seem to yield any career out of it, so to speak.
I see.
You know, it seemed like I came to this period of time because of the excitement.
All right. Now. Many of you arrive at that particular timing and expect to find an obvious career in an age of inventing your own. Can you invent something new out of everything you have learned? Can you bring all the things that excite you together into a career that maybe doesn't exist yet? How about the career of creating careers?
That's a possibility.
All right. That's one idea. It all depends on how you look at it. Again, watch your definitions. Be very clear about whether you have expectations in a certain line. Because many times you will have. And then you will understand that you may actually be proceeding in an opposite direction, so to speak, from the way you really say you enjoy moving. If you find that no career makes itself obvious in the midst of a situation that seems like it ought to, then recognize in many cases it is simply up to you to create the meaning and the definition of the circumstances to suit you, to suit the expression you are. So invent a career. That's how any of them get started to begin with. Someone had to invent them to begin with. Someone had to be first. Maybe you can invent a new career.
I mean, there's not a catalog around somewhere.
In your imagination there is, yes. And it is completely unabridged. Is this of any help?
Some.
All right.
Any more. I think one thing I run into.
Like a wall.
We run into the different fractured parts of ourselves.
All right.
We're talking about.
What have you run into?
Is the fact of not trusting myself.
Oh, you trust yourself? You mean not trusting yourself positively? Everybody trusts themselves completely. It's a matter of whether you trust yourself positively or negatively. You all always trust yourselves completely. There is never a lack of trust. Never.
Perhaps not having confidence that it will work out.
All right.
Would be another expression of trust, I guess.
Absolutely. Why would you assume that something that really attracts you would be pointless enough to not work out?
Not yet. It hadn't dawned yet. I'm still working on it.
All right. The idea is very simplistic if you look at it that way. For every expression, there is an appropriate stage in which to play out that expression. If something excites you, then you can assume beyond a shadow of a doubt that there must be a stage for you to express yourself upon, express that excitement upon. There is no creation, no expression that does not have an outlet for its expressiveness. Therefore, you can trust that what excites you will be able to be played out. Because there are no extraneous creations. There are no one-sided polarities in that sense. Every expression has an outlet. Attract it to you. The only reason you would keep it away and keep it unapparent is by assuming that the expression you are doesn't have an outlet. So you will create it to be ambiguous. It will hide within you, and you won't find it. You won't see it in an obvious way. Things will become, as you say, foggy in that sense. You will not see the obvious outlet because you do not necessarily believe that there is one for what really inspires you. But there has to be, by definition. Otherwise, the universe would, in your terms, be lopsided. There are no creations that cannot express themselves in the way that represents the fullest measure of who and what they are. Everything fits, or it wouldn't exist. Understand?
Yes.
Is this helping you to choose the direction in which you can put your trust?
Well, I think I have to look at my imaginary catalog and see where the various attractions
All right.
correlate.
Then when you find one that you would enjoy, purchase a ticket for that attraction and go on the ride. It will always take you exactly where you need to go. Does that help?
beginning.
All right. Good place to start.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Shedding.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you.
I had something happen to me that I've been curious about, and it happened 17 years ago.
All right. What is it that happened through you?
Well, I was sitting in a bakery with a friend of mine having donuts and coffee over in Hawaii.
Donut and coffee. All right.
And we both were talking about the idea of different types of bodies. I don't know why, but it was an interesting subject at the time.
Do you mean different types of human bodies?
Just different types of bodies that one could inhabit.
Oh, all right.
And what happened is I started to perceive his body and my own as like cats, large cats.
All right.
And he perceived the same thing.
Yes.
And there was no drugs or anything involved, and it was real.
All right. We understand.
I've not been able to. It didn't seem like a past life or anything.
Were you paying attention when we talked about identification? When we talked about telepathy? When we talked about matching each other's vibration and therefore, by definition, experiencing exactly the same type of expression at exactly the same time?
Oh, yes.
Well, can you apply it to this idea?
I can see why that would happen, but it was like the whole physical reality took on a different...
Absolutely. When you change your perspective, that which you create with your perspective must change.
Ah.
Your physical reality is only the product of your perspective.
Great, that would certainly fit.
Oh, yes. It is whatever you dream it to be. And if you dream it in accord with someone else, you will usually see it in a similar fashion. Do remember that what you call the feline in your society is usually symbolic of being able to see in more than one dimension at the same time anyway. And when you talk about, how you say, the big cats, then you're talking about a lot of power, a lot of change.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary. We both stopped.
Oh, all right.
But at the same time, it was very fascinating.
Yes, well, thank you very much for looking into a mirror and allowing your friend to do the same. Shedding.
Hello, sir.
And to you, good day.
I'm overwhelmed being up here in front of you anyways.
Why? It's just me. Little old me.
I feel...
Little thin, white-skinned, bald, 159-year-old me.
Yeah.
Feel more at ease?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I would like to know more about my ability to love, the tools that are available to me to love.
My. Your ability to love. Well, it's the same as everyone else's. It can be unconditional. It can be. You all have the same ability to love because you're all made out of love. It's the prime vibration of existence. That's why when you align with it, you're in synchronous accord with existence itself, with all that is, with the one, the infinite. That's what love is. The prime frequency of creation, out of which you are all crystallized. So your ability is, in that sense, quite limitless. Now, in whatever way you choose to express it with your integrity and your excitement, that's really up to the individual you have chosen to be, with your free will and your direction of intention and your conscious commandment and your decision-making capability. It's really up to you. That's why we talk about excitement so much, because excitement is the key, is the arrow that points you in the direction of the way you can express your love most unconditionally. Because when you follow what excites you the most, you are living an effortless life of joy. And you just can't help but spill over that ecstasy and joy to everyone else because you're having such a good time. Is it all right to be that simple?
Yes.
Anything else? Do you feel that is sufficient?
I don't know if that is probably that I'm not hearing what I wanted to hear.
What did you want to hear? Tell me what you wanted to hear.
I guess I had some sort of preconceived idea of what I wanted to hear.
Well, tell me what it is.
Something about the power that's in me that I'm able to. I feel as though I've tapped into a power.
Well, yes.
That power, and I know it's general when I call it love.
Yes.
But I get such a good feeling inside when I'm able to communicate that.
Didn't I say that?
You probably did. Maybe, like I say, I might be a bit overwhelmed being in front of you.
Oh, all right. Underwhelm yourself for a moment. Once again, the feeling you feel is being aligned with the prime vibration of the infinite. That's what love is. When you allow yourself to flow that love through yourself, when you consciously recognize it, you become synchronistically harmonized to the fabric of existence itself. That's the good feeling within you. That's what that energy is, that rush of alignment, that love, that capacity, that compassion. That's what it is. The ability, the recognition of your ability to express in joyous ways all that you have chosen to be with integrity. That's what it is. You know you have the capacity, you can feel it. So in whatever way represents what excites you the most, and whatever way represents your strongest intention and integrity, express it. And you will be being a fully realized facet of the infinite. Let it flow through you. Is that so difficult?
No.
Does this assist you?
Yes.
Remember that you are only being overwhelmed by what you are feeling within yourself, not by me. You are feeling your own energy. It is simply that we radiate a particular vibration that each and every one of you has the opportunity to match. And when you match it, that's the energy you feel. You don't feel my energy. You feel your energy matching my frequency. That's what you're feeling. You're only being overwhelmed by you. So, you can become familiar with it because it's you after all. So, own it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for a loving interaction. Had a wonderful time. Sharing.
Hello.
And good day to you.
Thank you. I talked to you a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Oh, you remember. Well, since then,
yes,
I was having a hard time with the idea about belief. I wanted to know what the secret was, where did you create them?
Yes.
Well, after that, I realized part of my problem was that belief in the past to me, my beliefs about belief were, number one, belief worked for people to a certain degree.
Yes.
No matter what they believed in. The other thing was I felt that when people believed in something, they did it, they were either turning over their power to something or someone else.
Some people do.
Yes. And or they were too stupid to figure it out analytically. Those were my beliefs about
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very clever. Very creative. You're also very good at creating definition.
Oh, yes. And then, since then, so when I...
Maybe you should export them.
Well, they're gone now.
Oh.
So now what I believe beliefs are has to do with, it's more, I asked you what it was a few weeks ago, and you said it's a definition. I thought, oh no, I'm getting one of these runaround again.
No. It was a very direct answer.
And that is exactly what I realized that they are.
Yes.
But, I hate to take anybody's word for anything. And
well, by all means, do not.
I don't.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
I know you do.
Thank you.
So I've been so excited to share with everybody here because I speak to my version of you all the time.
Thank you.
And, well, not all the time, but frequently.
I understand.
I thought you were going to catch me on that. But it's okay.
I am giving you a large leeway now. I figure any catching that needs to be done can now be done by you.
Thank you. Well, at the time, I was the whole idea about beliefs came up because I wanted to experience financial wealth, and all I kept seeing was this very, in the future for myself, this very, would be considered mass consciousness-wise, rather crazy, happy, totally poor, very psychic woman. That I was totally happy. And I thought, well, that's okay, but you know, I'm ready to change that now. And I realized something. Well, I realized a lot of things, and I want to know. One thing I realized is the reason why I could not change that belief now was, number one, my ideas about beliefs. Number two, it was because I have the belief that you could only be spiritually wealthy or financially wealthy. You could not be both. And being better than the person who want to be just financially wealthy, I chose that.
Nice.
I'm just laughing.
Me too.
The other thing I realized is that I think it was the second time I ever came to Bashar. Anyway, I was really upset about something. Anyway, I spoke to Daryl, and he said, well, it seems to me like you're more of someone that's from the future than someone that's of the past, you know, just speaking in time, you know, linear time.
Yes.
And since then, I've been using that as a tool. And what I saw is that that is true. See, I already was a very happy, psychic, totally broke, bag lady in ecstasy.
Yes.
And I already did that. So that's why it was so hard for me to not fight it, but change it, because it already happened.
Understood.
Okay, now since then, and then when I spotted the belief that I could only be spiritually wealthy or financially wealthy, and I saw that I can have it all. And
really?
Really. And so
what do you
can
know? What do you know?
And I wanted to, let's see, just a second.
Time's up.
Oh, okay. When I was talking to you a few weeks ago, I was saying, well, you were saying how one can experience what it is they want to experience. And I said, well, I've done all that, and I'm not judging being poor as bad, and I'm making everything equal, and, you know, it's just going on and on. Well, I wasn't exactly lying to myself, but I did realize once I cleared away all these other things is that whenever I would get centered on an idea, or being poor was just as wonderful as being wealthy, I would always check to see if maybe now I won the lottery, or, you know, okay, I've got the idea now where's the payoff? So it wasn't really there, even though there is the preference. It was not equal to the other things.
Thank you.
So I realized that.
Very, very sharp discovery.
Yes, it was great. It was really, really good. The other thing is that for the last month, this person that I knew, she jarred my whole reality.
That's what friends are for.
She jarred my whole reality on that idea of you can only be wealthy spiritually, or because I didn't know it, but I had this idea that in order to be wealthy, you had to let go of your integrity somehow.
We understand, yes.
But here's this girl, we were roommates, and she decided she wanted to be a movie star. Well, she'd only acted in one high school play. And so she just started acting like a movie star, like being glamorous, you know, kind of, but all in a very playful way.
Yes.
Right then when she already had a fan club before she ever did anything.
Correct.
She got the major lead in a major motion picture.
I'm not surprised.
And it was effortless. She had an agent come to her and said, you know, I'd really like to represent you. She said, oh, great.
Are you all catching this?
And what's so funny that, especially have so many actors and actresses come up here, see, acting was a detail for her.
Correct.
So she just was being a movie star.
Yes.
And now she's on a regular TV series, and she's done several motion pictures, and, you know, it's just great. Of course, I couldn't understand it at the time, but...
But now you can.
And the other thing that when you say act on it,
Yes.
act on something, I was not comfortable with that because I felt like I was lying.
I understand.
But I am comfortable with the idea of pretending or acting like she did. She just acted as if she was a movie star, not acting, but
I understand.
pretending.
Yes.
And it happened.
Yes.
So, now that I'm coughing here,
You are clearing.
oh. The other thing I realized about the reality, a lot of times there's this idea where someone will say, well, that's not what I preferred, or I didn't want that, I didn't know why that happened. I realize now that I'm not giving up my belief to my higher self or anything else, that someone else or something else is going to take care of it for me. I really do see now that anything I'm experiencing right now is something that I've created, and it's just unfolding for me right now. And that beliefs are just the perimeters or the rules or you could say the limitations or whatever of the way that what I bought into in which I'll play. I'm going to play life like this, and I agree that I can't fly, and I agree to this, and I agree my hair won't turn green, and all these things. I'm changing them. And anyway, so that's pretty exciting, because I didn't like the idea of feeling kind of like, oh yes, I know, my higher self can do it, or, it's just not my way.
Oh, thank you.
And the other thing is that, the last thing, is that even now, it is all changing. When I know what it is I really prefer, and I can feel what it is to experience the life that I know is possible, and somehow I feel like it's already happening in some way.
Yes.
I have a very hard time just saying it, though, like telling someone. I almost stutter or start coughing or whatever, but it's okay with me. But I do have the sense that it's already occurring in some reality or somewhere. So I started just relaxing more, like I already am.
Yes.
Even though I may be experiencing something different now, I feel more at peace or calm with it.
Thank you very much for having taken the opportunity to truly look through that mirror to another reality, another world, another dimension of yourself. The face that now can look back is you in another form, in another format, in another fashion. We thank you for taking the opportunity to define your fear and allow in the integration of that fear your consciousness to become truly, truly, truly crystal clear. May we call you Crystal?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. At this timing, now, I extend to you our heart, our light, our energy, our love, our being, and our seeds that will grow together in the garden of your lives. I thank you. I share with you the dream that we are together. Another dimension, another consciousness, another way to see the self is the same self seeing through a different eye, hearing through a different ear, and speaking with a different mouth, but all of the same body, all of the same soul. The things that we share with you may seem to be philosophy, but are to us reality. We thank you. We love you. Dreams to you all. And do not forget to join us next week of your time and bring a bell so that we may play and raise the vibration of love and joy. Sweet dreams, warm thoughts. Good day.
Good day.
How did everything go?